Hey, welcome to another video. This is part 2 of setting up a new control panel for the Dynamo HS-5 cabinet. In the previous video, which you may have seen, I got super frustrated making the plexiglass cover for the control panel. Every time I tried to drill into it, it would just crack. I would get 3 or 4 holes done and then it would crack, it would chip. And I wasn't really able to get the edges as smooth as I would have liked to begin with. So I kind of abandoned that. I had to stop. It's been about 2 weeks since I posted a video now because I've just been so frustrated with it. I barely wanted to get back to it. However, I'm back. I'm feeling better now. I think this is going to go just fine. I ordered some different plexiglass from an online shop. The reason I ordered it online is because if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you can't get below a certain thickness there. Like, they have a very limited selection. If you order online, you can get whatever thickness you want. So this stuff is slightly thinner than what they had at Home Depot and Lowe's. It's more flexible, it seems. This is actually polycarbonate, and I didn't know what sort of material the Home Depot stuff was. When you talk about plexiglass, there's several different kinds of plastic that people generally refer to as plexiglass. So there wasn't really a label on the Home Depot one, so I don't know what it was. I just know that it was more brittle than this. So I think this is going to cut much better. I also did find out from the YouTube channel Arcade Repair Tips that using a step drill bit would help with cutting these holes. So we'll find out if that's true. And hopefully we'll finish this up in this episode with no more frustration, and then we can move on from there. Okay, so to shape this plexi, it's already cut height-wise and lengthwise. So all we have to do is cut out these corners. These are pretty easy. I'm just going to use the original plexiglass that was on the machine as a template. And again, we're using this plastic scoring tool. Yeah. I'm gonna finish up this side and then we'll move on. I'm gonna try to do some test holes now that I have some step drill bits. Again, I got this tip from Arcade Repair Tips on YouTube. That channel is just awesome. So if you're like me and you're just starting out with this stuff, definitely check them out because you'll learn so much stuff from them. So anyway, I did get these step drill bits as they recommend it. I have a whole set here, but the key is that I got a large set that goes all the way up to 1 3/8. Off the top of my head, I believe it's 1 1/8 is the size hole we need for most of the buttons and whatnot. So if this actually works out to drill plastic without cracking it, that'll be wonderful, and we'll be able to do every hole we need, including the buttons. Alright, so I'm just gonna go at it. This is one of the pieces of plastic that's already ruined from last time, so I don't care if this cracks more or anything. I just have it attached to this scrap piece of wood, and that's also supposed to help with the cracking to give it some support. So I'm just going to go ahead and start drilling, and we'll see how this works out. Beautiful. You see how the plastic is coming up in ribbons like this? Supposedly that's exactly what you want when you're drilling this stuff. That shows that you're scraping the plastic apart inside and, you know, not just kind of hammering it with pressure. So that's one hole done, and it actually looks a lot cleaner even than the successful ones that I was able to do before with the normal drill bit. So it looks clean. That was completely effortless, and already just having drilled this one hole, I'm feeling real good about this. So this is working. It's just going a little bit slower because with the wood sandwiched under here, it's now drilling into the wood. So of course, that's going to give us some resistance. But again, nice clean hole. I'm actually going to slide this about 1 inch off of the wood, and I'm going to see if it's feasible to cut a hole this large with no wood back. Look at that, guys. And that's perfect. No hole, no cracking. That is exactly what I wanted to see. I'm gonna, like I did with the smaller holes, I'm gonna go ahead and drill a bigger one now. It wouldn't even hurt if I did this a little bit bigger, and then the button could then just drop right in. But either way works. I can't think of any logistical reason that I can't just screw the button in. Okay, now is that a crack? I think we got a little crack here. Yeah, that's a little crack right there. So that's not ideal, but I think ultimately when I go to do this for real, I will use the wood backing to make sure that we're not flexing it too much. You can see how the drill was kind of shaking. It's also not ideal that I'm kind of leaning over the camera to do this. I should just probably put the camera on the other side, but whatever. So let me finish this up and see if I can get it to the full size without extending this crack anymore. I think the reason that the drill is getting stuck like that, it's not a lack of power. I think it's more that I'm not getting it in there straight enough, which is where a drill press would be really nice, but I don't really have the space to devote to one of those at the moment. Maybe when I get a shed, I'll be able to get one because I can just store it in the garage. I could store it in the garage now, it's just full of stuff. And with a shed, I could offload some of that and then put a drill press in there. But anyway, you can see this came out. We did have that crack, but actually we just drilled over it by the time we got the hole big enough. And this hole is actually bigger than the first one at this point. Either one works. This one, you see the button drops right in. The other one, the button has to be screwed in, but you know, either way works for me. So I'm pretty confident with this now. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to start drilling my actual plexi. Okay, we have our good piece here. Hopefully it will remain our good piece. As you can see, I marked off all the holes I'm gonna be drilling. I just used the control panel as a template. So now I'm basically just gonna go through and drill them all out, and hopefully we won't have any cracks like we did last time. Okay, I don't know why it took me 6 holes to try this, but for the 6th hole, I stuck the plexi right over one of the original holes, and because I didn't have to drill through the wood again, it went through so much cleaner and faster. So I think I'm going to do the rest of the holes that way, and hopefully this thing should go a lot quicker. Okay, so that's all the actual button holes drilled. Again, no cracking. Everything's looking good. I do still have to do the 2 joystick holes and the mounting holes. So joystick holes are similar to the button holes. I believe they're slightly larger, so let me knock those out. All right, here we go, 16 holes, all done, not a bit of cracking. Now again, this stuff is actually a different material than what I was trying to use before. This is polycarbonate. I know I keep saying plexiglass, I'm just saying that as a general term, but this is polycarbonate. I don't know what the other stuff was, but this stuff definitely seems more flexible, so that may have helped as well. But everything's pretty clean. If you see that the holes don't look properly spaced, that's because they're actually a little bit off on the control panel. So I don't know if that was drilled out by an operator, or you know, if the factory was just a little off with these. So it's all going to line up just fine, not worried about it. If I got a little off center, not sure if I did or not, but if I did, I can always just trim off the edge a bit with Dremel. So finally satisfied with this. I'm going to go ahead and drill the actual mounting holes. My battery's running out on my camera, so you probably don't need to see all that, but I will drill those holes and then we'll pick up the video after that. Alright, here we go, all finished. All mounting holes drilled, every other hole drilled, no cracking whatsoever. Can finally move on from this. This was the most dreadful thing I've ever had to do for fixing arcade machines. So I did line this up a little bit on the control panel, and I did get a couple of these holes a little bit off center. It's nothing I'm going to lose sleep over. I'm just going to even things out with the Dremel, and I don't think it's going to be very noticeable at all, if you can see it at all, because of the button shrouds. Okay, we have our plexi all prepared. We have our control panel stripped. We have the cut corners painted. And I think we are just about ready to put on the actual overlay. So let's get on with it. Okay, I'm moving on to applying the actual control panel overlay. As you can see, I have it clamped down here so I can start peeling off the backing and then, laying it down. After that, we'll flip it over, we'll cut the buttonholes and populate it, and then we'll probably do the wiring in another episode. Got to apply a lot of pressure on this stuff. It's kind of designed so that the adhesive doesn't activate too much until you put a lot of pressure on it that way. If you need to reposition it, you have a little bit of leeway, but when you're doing this, you definitely want to use clamps. And make sure you hold it exactly where you want it. The nice thing about these control panel overlays is if you buy nice quality stuff, and this seems to be pretty decent quality, you don't have to worry too much about air bubbles because it's so thick, it lays down so flat. You would almost have to be trying to get major air bubbles. I really should be using a squeegee so I could put more even pressure on this, but getting pretty good. Alright guys, I probably didn't get great footage of that. I'll piece together what I can. But I'm pretty much done the application now. As expected, these corners were a little difficult. And they're certainly not perfect. But, I mean, this is definitely still much nicer looking than anything I would have seen in an arcade in the mid-90s. So, I'm happy with it. It's not a flawless piece of art, but somewhere between that and cigarette burns and whatever else. It's certainly a lot nicer than what I had when I started. Battery is about to die. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the holes for the controls and get those populated. There's nothing, magical about that. all you have to do is cut the holes from the back, and then controls go in from the top. The button shrouds cover anything that you mess up, so it's not a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think that's it for this episode. When we come back next time, you'll see the populated control panel all ready to go, and we will button up all the wiring, and that should be it for this one. And then don't forget, we're going to move on, and we have the gun control panel to do as well. I'm not going to do as much with that one because frankly I don't care that much about it. I'm just going to put a plain black control panel overlay, some plexi, and that'll probably be it. I might repaint the corners like I did on this one because they came out really nice. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's it. If you like these videos, be sure to subscribe. I'm trying to do one every week. I don't always hit that, but that's the goal. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.